Hey friends, this is Surabhi Veech and welcome back to another episode of Mom Strength. In this spicy episode, we're going to be talking about 4 tips, 4 secrets to unlock more pleasure and in your life and to help improve your orgasms. So first, let's define what pleasure even is. Pleasure is a feeling of happy satisfaction or enjoyment. So when we think about pleasure, we often think about it related to sex. But here's the thing. Pleasure is part of sex, yes, but it is also part of life. So this is going to bring me to tip number 1. To unlock pleasure in your life, the first thing you need is presence. If you are not present in your body, you will not feel pleasure. It could be the most pleasurable sensation. It could be the most pleasurable day. It can be a beautiful sunny day with a balmy breeze. But if your head is buried into that phone, you're not even going to notice the beauty around you. If you are eating the most divine piece of chocolate cake, because I love chocolate cake, if you're eating the most divine piece of chocolate cake or samosa or drinking that cup of coffee, whatever it is, but your head's buried in that phone or a book or work or you're on a crowded subway train, you're not really noticing what you're actually doing. You're noticing everything else that's outside of that experience of pleasure. Then you won't actually feel the pleasure. And, it's like when you go for a massage. You lie down on the bed, your eyes are closed, so you feel the pleasure of the massage. But if somebody's rubbing your foot while you're not even paying attention, will it feel as pleasurable? Will it feel as nice? No, you actually will feel that pleasure sensation, that feeling of happiness and contentment and satisfaction will be less. I actually saw this example on Ashley. I don't remember her last name, Ashley, Shantae's girlfriend. She shared this great example of when she was in the nail salon getting a pedicure, and her favorite part of that experience is getting a foot rub. And she was on her phone, she missed the whole foot rub, lost that experience of pleasure, right? And so mindfulness is the path to pleasure. Mindfulness and practicing presence in your body is the path to feeling more pleasure. We're going to practice this in my workshop, by the way, on February 23rd, my Reclaim Your Pleasure workshop. We're going to be practicing presence and mindfulness in your body because in theory, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But how do you actually take that step forward to then going to embody pleasure in your body? That's what we need to experience. And that's what we're going to do together. So it's a 60-minute workshop, live and recorded. So if you missed the live or if you can't make the live, you can watch the replay. And I'm going to take you through movement and a meditation, a visualization and breath strategies. We're going to release tension in our bodies. We're going to welcome in pleasure and we're going to move our bodies. And your booty is going to be moving. You're going to be grooving. It's going to feel good. 60 minutes of pleasure, focused, fun, just for you, right? So make sure to join me. I'm going to add the link on my show notes, www.thepassionatephysio.ca/reclaim-your-pleasure-workshop/. I know it's long, so I'll just make sure I include the link. So go ahead and save your spot for that. I'm so excited. Okay, so let's get back to pleasure and the 4 secrets. So the first is presence. And, I mentioned the cake or the nail salon or the sun on your face, light breeze. There are countless ways to experience pleasure during your day, even if you've had a really crappy day. Even if you're like, something really bad happened this week, there may be still things that bring pleasure in your life. It can be something as simple as, honestly, taking a sip of water and feeling that water. I'm opening my bottle. I took a sip. Sorry for that loud noise if you're listening to this. And I'm just feeling the pleasure of feeling my mouth is not dry, right? And so it can be the little things. And so when you practice anything, whether it's piano, soccer, running, the more chances you have to practice it, the better you get, right? So the more you cultivate pleasure in your life during day-to-day events, the more joy and pleasure you're going to feel in the bedroom too. It's going to carry over. The next secret to unlock pleasure is your breath. So your breath is the key to life. It's your superpower. anything goes wrong, your breath is going to help you. It's the first thing you probably did when you were born. It's the last thing you'll do before you die. We have had thousands, hundreds of thousands of experiences with breathing. And when you are breathing with your shoulders up or your chest tight and you're hunched forward on the computer, you're stressed because your work is stressful, your life is stressful, and your kids are screaming. I know how it is. How does that change how you feel? It changes your breath right away. And when your breath changes, your body changes. So we're going to practice how to breathe to welcome in pleasure, even on days when you are stressed, even on days when you are sleep deprived, even on days where you feel like nothing is going right. I still want you to have that skill of accessing pleasure. The next secret is going to be longer foreplay. So this is specifically for any kind of sexual activity. And if you want a more powerful orgasm, you need at least 30 minutes of foreplay. Aim for 30 minutes. Set a timer if you need to, and ask your partner or partners for a full body massage. If you're by yourself, give yourself a good massage from your feet to your scalp. Really taking your time and focusing on giving loving attention to all of your body parts. And give yourself time. Give yourself a good half hour. Take a warm bath. Do all of the things. Light a candle. Involve your senses to really just elevate that foreplay experience, because that's sometimes the best part, right? And the longer that goes on, the more aroused you're going to feel. So if you are a vulva owner and you have a clitoris, your clitoris also gets erect, just like a penis. We all know penises get erect, but most people don't even know that their clitoris also gets engorged and erect when aroused. So we want that clitoris to be well aroused or engorged before then carrying forward into different types of sexual play that may be more direct stimulation or oral stimulation or intercourse. So make sure that foreplay lasts a long time. Maybe before you had kids, or maybe when you were younger, you didn't need a long foreplay. Maybe you were just always ready to go, but now life is more stressful. Maybe there's just more in your brain all the time. I did a poll on Instagram recently, and I did a post about like how, just being distracted during sex. And that was something I struggled with. I was like, I just can't stay present. And that also has to do with a history of trauma and abuse. And, that is something that we also need to discuss that plays a role into your sexual health, a big role. And that's why therapy and processing and somatic experiences are important, because it's not enough to just assume that your past doesn't carry forward with you. Your past is still a part of you. And if any part of your body is going to remember that, it's your pelvic floor, your pelvis. It's like the seed of your life, right? Like it's like the source of life is going to remember. And so really learning to be present in your body is a skill. Learning to put away that distraction and the stress of the day is a skill, which I'm still practicing, right? It's going to be a work in progress. It's not like, oh, checkbox, I'm just so good at it now. You're still going to have days when you're not as good at it. And still, that's okay. It's just a work in progress. So that's something that can really help, is that longer foreplay, because it gives you time to fully relax and feel present in your body. Right? Imagine you're going for an hour-long massage. The first 2 minutes, you're not fully there. You're still like thinking about, oh yeah, I gotta do this when I get home. But the longer that massage goes on, you're like, oh, you've like forgotten about it, right? So the same goes for any other experience. If you're just sitting there and you have 3 minutes to eat your lunch, you're not gonna really feel like you can fully be present. And some people can, because they practice mindfulness and they practice that presence as a skill. But many people just need time, right? And we can't rush these processes. And then the last of the 4 secrets is believing that pleasure is available to you. Believing that great orgasms are available to you. And this is something that, especially for anybody who has had a history of pain, pelvic floor pain, dyspareunia, which we talked about on my last solo podcast episode. If you missed it, go check it out. If you have a history of pain, you might have lost hope in the fact that, or you might have lost hope that maybe I will never have pain-free sex. Maybe it will always hurt. And I just want you to know that don't lose hope, because I want you to believe that it is possible for you. Because if you believe in it, it will happen. If you do not believe in that, though, that alone can become a huge mental block and a big barrier. So if you have a history of pain, trauma, anything that has made you feel like that's not achievable to you just because that's how it has been in the past, I just want you to know the future is not going to be the past. The future can be something different. And so have that belief, hold on to your hope. Pleasure is available to you, and come join me at my workshop on February 23rd. That's a Thursday evening in Toronto time, 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. It will send you off into bed if that's what you're going to do after, or whatever you want to do after. If you can't catch it live, you can catch the replay. It will be sent to you within 24 hours of the live, probably less than, but I said 24 hours in case there's some like internet outage, or just in case. And I think that we all deserve great pleasure every single day, in whether it's related to sex or outside of that. And that's something that I have really been trying to cultivate, is just pleasure throughout the day, because that has been a powerful change. I've been practicing meditation and mindfulness more consistently over the past year. And I have noticed that, especially because I have been depressed before, and I know what it feels like to not feel fully present in your body, and to feel like there's no joy, or like there's no, like when good things happen, you're supposed to feel happy, but you don't feel it in your heart. It just feels kind of, everything's dull. And I know what that feels like. And I know that it takes work to feel more present, and to focus on the joy, and to focus on the celebration. And one thing that has really helped me personally is also surrounding myself with other people who are also doing the work to work on themselves and to empower themselves with self-care, with, anti-hustle culture, which is a byproduct of capitalism and colonialism and all of those isms, those systems that basically don't really help us or our health. And so surrounding yourselves with people who are also doing the work, who also want to step forward into a better life, into better pleasure, into better self-care, into better sex, that can be helpful. And even just having conversations, even though they're uncomfortable, that has been my goal this year. I'm like, having these conversations aren't fully comfortable for me, because if you listen to a couple episodes ago, I talked about shame, right? And how raised in an environment that really just puts your pelvic health as if it's just not part of your body, right? There's just so much shame around it. So as an adult, it takes work to unlearn that. And the only way you decrease the taboo and the shame feelings around it is by talking about it. So here is my reminder to you: you deserve pleasure. I just shared 4 secrets. There's a lot more secrets I'm going to be sharing with you during the live workshop, and I hope that you'll join me. www.thepassionatephysio.ca. That will take you to my website, and right on the main page, you'll see a blurb up top to prompt you to join in on my workshop. February 23rd, that's a Thursday. I have a friend in Australia joining. It is Friday afternoon. So kids nap time kind of works out perfectly for her too. And here's to more joy, pleasure, and orgasms.